Good morning, all our friends. It's Miss Amber. On the calendar today, I'm going to be talking about 4 states in the West. We're going to be learning about the Western states. And before I do the lesson, I wanted to do the calendar, the weather, and sing our good morning song. So let's bring out our calendars that we made, and we'll start with the days of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and let's begin again. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday. What comes after Wednesday? Thursday. Okay, we're going to count to number 21. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And today is 21. Today's Thursday, May 21, 2020. Okay, bring out your weather chart and you're going to mark down today's date, May 21. Okay, I've already filled out my weather chart, but I hope that you're also filling out yours. And let's sing the weather song. What's the weather? What's the weather? What's the weather, all our friends? Is it windy? Is it cloudy? Is there rain or is there sun? Okay, today I don't see any clouds in my sky and the sun is shining. The sky is clear blue and there's no wind. So I went ahead and drew a sunny sky with clear blue and no clouds. Okay, now let's sing our good morning song and I can get into the lesson. Good morning, good morning, good morning, all our friends. We love you, we miss you, please sit down, let's begin. Good morning, good morning, good morning, all our friends. We love you, we miss you, please sit down, let's begin. Great. So do you remember when we talked about in our Zoom the corners of the compass rose with north, east, south, and west, and then there's also points in the middle, like northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest? We're going to be talking about states in the West. So I went ahead and brought out the United States map that we made when we pasted all of the regions together, and we're going to be talking about this blue region here. It has California. It also has Alaska, Hawaii. Some other states are Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Idaho. I'm going to be talking about 4 states today. I'm going to be talking about Washington, Utah, Arizona, and of course, I can't talk about the West without talking about the state that we live in, California. Okay, so the first state I'm going to talk about is Washington, which is at the top here, the top west. Okay, Washington State is the first 3 pictures in my row. It's named after the first president, George Washington, and he's on the flag. Do you see? It's the only state in the United States that's named after a president. The nickname for Washington State is the Evergreen State because of its giant evergreen trees. And Washington's a really green state. There's a lot of mountains and trees too. Seattle is the largest city in Washington, and it has over half of the population that lives there. So of all the people that live in Washington State, over 60% of the people live in Seattle, which is the biggest city. Seattle is famous for its coffee because the first Starbucks started in Seattle, and it's also famous for its technology because Amazon was also created and founded in a city near Seattle called Bellevue. Washington State is also the #1 producer of apples, raspberries, and cherries in all of the United States, which is why the state fruit of Washington is an apple, because it's the largest producer of apples. There are 5 active volcanoes in Washington, including Mount St. Helens, which is pictured here, and Mount Rainier. One of the most famous attractions in Washington State is in Seattle, and it's the Space Needle, which is right here. The Space Needle in Seattle is an observation tower that was built for the World's Fair, and it's 600 feet tall. They recently renovated the Space Needle to make it more beautiful and structurally sound, and they transformed the observation deck, and now it's all glass all around that you can lean on, and it even has glass benches. And they also renovated the restaurant, which was underneath the observation deck. It used to be a restaurant that rotated and showed a 360 view of Seattle, and now it's a second observation deck that has a glass floor, which is the only one in the entire world. An observation room with a glass floor that rotates. Okay, that's Seattle, and that's Washington State. So it has Mount St. Helens, the flag, and of course the Space Needle. Okay, the next state I'm going to talk about is Utah, which is right here. Utah. Okay, Utah are the three middle pictures here. Utah is a state named for the Ute Native people. It translates to people of the mountain. Utah is also nicknamed the Beehive State. In Utah, we have the Great Salt Lake, which is a picture here. Utah also gets a lot of snow. They get about 500 inches a year, which is about 42 feet of snow every year. Utah also is home of the U.S. Transcontinental Railroad, which was completed in Utah, and it's basically a railroad track that goes from one end of the country to the other. There are a lot of national parks in Utah. Some of the most famous are the Zion National Park, the Bryce Canyon National Park, and my personal favorite, which is the Arches National Park, which is right here. See the archway made of rock formation? So there's a lot of beautiful national parks in Utah, and also the Great Salt Lake, which is the largest lake west of the Mississippi. Utah also has a salt flat, which used to be lakes that dried out, and now they're dense salt flats. And that's Utah. So we have Arches National Park, the flag, and of course, the Great Salt Lake. Okay, the next state I'm going to talk about is Arizona, which is right underneath Utah. Okay. So the three bottom pictures are of Arizona. We have the Grand Canyon, the flag, and this special place here, and I'll talk about that. Arizona State is a state that's best known for the Grand Canyon. I have a bigger picture of the Grand Canyon here. It's also nicknamed the Grand Canyon State and the Sunshine State because it gets really hot in Arizona. The Grand Canyon is a national rock canyon with layered bands of red rock revealing millions of years of history. It's really vast in size. It's 10 miles across and 1 mile deep. Okay. In the desert of Arizona, Arizona has a lot of deserts. There is the tallest cactus that grows called the saguaro cactus. It's the largest cactus in the United States. See how Arizona's flag kind of looks like rays of sunshine? I think that's because it's the hottest. It has a really hot weather, and it's known as the Sunshine State. In addition to the tallest cactus in the United States, Arizona also has the most number of rattlesnakes. It has 13 different species of rattlesnakes in Arizona, which is more than any other state, which kind of scares me because I don't like rattlesnakes. Okay, in Arizona, there's also a special place that you can visit, and if you stand there, it's called the Four Corners. If you stand there, you'll be standing in 4 different states. You'll be standing in Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico, and that's called Four Corners. There are 21 recognized Native American tribes in Arizona, and one of the tribes is called Havasupai, and they live at the base of the Grand Canyon. So at the base of the Grand Canyon, there's this creek called Havasu Creek that you can visit, and you just pay the tribe a reservation fee, and you can hike the Havasu Creek and see the Havasu Falls. It's a really famous creek at the base of the Grand Canyon with crystal blue waters that you can walk through. It's not really deep. You can walk the entire way. Okay, and those are the pictures of Arizona. So I can't talk about the West states without talking about the state that we all live in, which is California. Okay, California has its own specific page. So here are all the pictures I collected for California. Here's our state flag with the brown bear, which is our state mammal. California is a state that we live in, and it's nicknamed the Golden State. The state slogan is "Find yourself here." It's famous for its beautiful and vast coastline and beaches, which are here. And this is Highway 1 that you drive down and look at the coastline. It's also famous for its pleasant and warm weather, and cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles. California has national parks like Yosemite, huge redwood trees that grow up to 300 feet tall, and beautiful lakes like Lake Tahoe. California is also home to the highest point in all the United States, which is Mount Whitney, and it's home to the lowest point in all of the United States, which is the Death Valley, which is a desert plain. California is also home to a lot of tourist attractions, like, of course, Disneyland, Yosemite National Park, Lake Tahoe, Hollywood, and the Universal Studios, Legoland, and San Diego Zoo. You can drive through a giant redwood tree in California's Kings Canyon. And did you know that more than half of all of the United States vegetables, nuts, and fruits are grown in California because we have such beautiful weather? So almost half of the food that's in the United States, fruits, vegetables, and nuts, is grown in California. California, lastly, is called the Golden State, and that's because the gold rush started in California in 1848 when James Marshall discovered gold at Sutter's Mill. And that is why California is known as the Golden State, because people traveled from all over the United States to California in search of gold. And the last thing I want to tell you about California is that the first McDonald's restaurant was opened in California in 1940. So California is really special. Here's another picture of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. It's not really golden, it's a red color, but in the sunshine it looks like a gold color, and it's why it's the symbol, one of the symbols of California, the Golden State. Awesome. Isn't that fun? So I wanted to show you 4 different states, not just the state that we live in, but other states too. And I hope you learned a lot about the states in the west side of the United States. Okay, there's going to be 4 state worksheets that you can color. One for California, one for Arizona, one for Utah, and one for Washington State. And then there's one other worksheet for you to do that has California highlighted, and you can color the other states and write the name of California, because that's the state that we live in. Okay, before I leave you, I wanted to sing a song that highlights some of the United States, okay? It's called "This Land Is Your Land." This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gold Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Again, this land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gold Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Okay, friends, I hope you enjoyed learning about all the different regions of the United States. Remember, we talked about the Midwestern states first. Last week we talked about the Southern states. On Monday we talked about the Eastern states. And today we talked about the Western states. The United States is really beautiful with a number of historic landmarks and beautiful sights. So I look forward to hearing your favorite on Friday. Bye, friends.